Hello and welcome back to the wonderful world of Paragon. Today I'd like to cover something that took me a long time to understand, so I'm going to save you that time. Building a powerful deck can be difficult. Oftentimes you want more space than you actually have to fit more cards in. Maybe you don't have the right cards, or more specifically, the right upgrade card. You'll see the high level guides often make use of many minor one-cost upgrade cards so that they can have cheap cards that are fast to upgrade. But why would you do this? Why would this be a good thing to do? A minor strike gives way less physical damage than that of a major strike. That's just basic maths. But the power of building cheap cards is huge and cannot be ignored. If I'm able to completely finish a card before you can, I'm going to be much stronger earlier in the game. And then when the game progresses, I can actually sell that cheaply upgraded card and replace it with another version of the same card that this time has more expensive upgrades in it. So while you spend ages upgrading a more expensive card, I get way more damage faster. That causes me to farm and get more kills faster than you would, and then I replace that card with a fully upgraded one when the game gets into its later state. It's a simple theory that has brilliant results, and it works for every character in the game, but not everyone has 50 minor strikes or minor casts or minor mana and so on. Not everyone has that huge amount of time in the game to unlock these upgrade cards just yet, but the concept remains, and you can always do it in a less powerful or slightly less efficient way. It might not be as good as it could be, yet it's still much better than just straight building the most expensive stuff first. If you don't have the ability to create a card that has free one-cost upgrades in it, then you can swap in a less powerful one-cost card, even if it's just a mana card or a mana upgrade. If it results in you finishing the card faster, you will reap the rewards. But what if you don't even have that? No problem. Go 1-1-2. This way, you can just sell a Harvester's Key or a Scout Sword, maybe a Mana Pot, Health Pot, or any real one-cost card to get you that extra card point you need to finish your item faster, resulting in that fully upgraded card quick as hell. You can even do this by using free 2-cost cards if you have to. It might not be as fast as the free 1-cost card upgrades, but it's still better than getting your card upgraded too slow in the early game. You're going to need the increase in damage to make sure you can last it. You're going to need it to make sure you can do jungle camps, black buff, or just win fights. It's a simple concept to understand that if the enemy is doing more damage than you, you're at a disadvantage. But if you're building cheaper cards early, you're going to be doing more damage than the enemy, therefore you have the advantage. For example, an extremely common strategy right now is to run a cheap tuned barrier and a cheap tempered plate, and you can replace them later in the game for a more expensively upgraded version of another barrier and plate, which results in you getting great survival early game that makes a huge difference even in the mid game, and then late game you're still as tanky because you're not running around with that cheaper version of the barrier and plate because you sold them and replaced them with the more expensive ones. So that's why you do this in your decks and why it's a good strategy when you're building the perfect combination of cards. Now, you might be wondering about how to achieve a perfect 60 out of 60 card point deck when you're maxed out in game. This actually took me a while to grasp, but it's actually super simple. You just make sure your fully upgraded cards in your deck will result in a 60 out of 60 setup. If you're running any cheap cards like the strategy we were just talking about, you're just going to replace them in the later game, so you don't actually need to add those in your math. For example, this Windcarver blade is going to be replaced for the more expensive Windcarver blade, so it's not going to be included in the math. And the same for this Amulet of Veteran. It's going to replace by the more expensive one, so that's not counted either. So let me show you how it's done. In my Kalari deck, which is really good right now, the Scourging Tails are absolutely staying, so that's free card points. The more expensive Amulet's staying, so that's worth 12 points total with its upgrades, and then we had free from the Tails, so our total card points now are at 15. This Ward is staying, and when it's fully upgraded, it's going to be 12 points. So 15 plus 12, that's 27 points total now. This Fountain Spike is going to be replaced, so we're not going to tally that up in the final points. The Void Dagger is absolutely staying, just like this Windcarver here too, and they both add up to 22 when they're fully upgraded. So that's 27 plus 22, that comes to 49 total card points so far. Finally, my last item in my deck, the Thunder Cleaver, is going to be worth 11 points when fully upgraded, which then leaves us at 60 card points total, a perfect result. So there you have it, a simple and hopefully clear way that you can tally up your deck so it ends up at 60 out of 60. And of course, why you buy cheap cards. You can actually see in my deck that I had to put in a strike instead of a minus strike in this amulet, for example, because I don't actually have enough of the 1-cost card upgrades, but it still works. When I go back, I can just sell my mana pot or a health token, whatever it is. You can also see that I had to make the upgrades in my blade and dagger free too instead of free, so that the final math works out at 60 instead of 62. It's better to make your cards slightly weaker to have your final result end up at the perfect 60 out of 60. It's more valuable to have a 60 out of 60 deck than a 57 out of 60, for example. You're probably going to need to do this a lot yourself, so it's good to understand how to do it, and you need to make sure that you check your math just like that. So use a calculator if you're dumb like me. I don't mind at all. I hope this video helped a few people. I try to make videos that I know I would watch or find useful. It's my mentality behind each video. If I had seen this video over the last 7 months, it would have saved me so much trouble. But here it is, hopefully helping someone out now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.